Jeopardy host Ken Jennings hasn't much to say at the end of tonight's game show episode. Ken forewent signing off like he usually does for the sake of time on Jeopardy's Thursday show. Ken, 49, hosted today's Jeopardy's Champions wildcard tournament like he usually did until it came time to conclude the program. Instead of doing his elaborate outro speech, he just abruptly ended. Ken's signature sign-off comes after Final Jeopardy when he announces the contestant who won the last round and who would progress to the Jeopardy semi-finals tournament. Tonight past Jeopardy champ Yongsheng Wang won Final Jeopardy and advanced to the show's semi-finals tournament. Yongsheng finished with $23,000. "We'll see you tomorrow on Jeopardy," Ken said to the audience after he congratulated Yongsheng on his big win. Though Ken's goodbye was suitable to say at the end of the show, some fans felt that his sign-off occurred too quickly. "Too fast to sign off, Ken, since we're out of time," one fan commented online. Fans have had no issue criticizing Ken's hosting decisions as of late. Feet to the fire. Jeopardy fans aren't letting Ken off the hook and have regularly called out the moderator's most iffy moments. Last month, fans were left in an uproar after contestant Scott Plummer lost nearly all his earnings, and arguably the game, due to a daily double clue that many viewers deemed as just terrible. The Champions wildcard episode's Double Jeopardy round saw Ken introduce the category, "That's Misleading." Scott, a software developer from Golden, Colorado, had $3,200, Tim Moon, an attorney from Los Angeles, California, had $1,800, and Amy Beckerman, a copy editor from Durham, New Hampshire, led with $5,000. Ken explained how the category would work. The two parts of each clue would form a compound word. If I say, "Singer Brian with a blanket on," you say, "What is lukewarm?" Get it? The contestants had no problem getting the other four clues in the round, until Scott found one that was a daily double. Scott then picked the $2,000 clue, the last daily double. He had $3,600, after bouncing back from $0 having missed the second daily double. Amy had $12,600, and Tim had $3,000. Scott decided to bet nearly all his earnings, or $3,200, on a clue that read, "Paintings seen along the sloping path for wheelchairs." Scott just stared and had no idea what the compound word could be. "Something ramp," he responded and shook his head. The timer ran out, and Ken ruled he was incorrect, explaining it was "rampart," and breathily repeating, "Rampart." Fans took to Reddit, furious on Scott's behalf since unlike every other clue in the category, the two parts of the daily double's desired response were switched around. One fan wrote, "I'm usually on the side of the writers, but DD3 was bull *****T. Literally every other clue in the "That's Misleading" category gave the two halves in the same order as the correct response compound word, banana split, fishbowl, etc. But then suddenly, for the daily double, the clue gave the two halves in reverse order. What the hell is that? I'd bet anything he considered art ramp in his head and discarded it because art ramp isn't a word. Another fan agreed, "That was my response, art ramp, thinking it might be a term of art used in galleries or somewhere I'd never heard before." Totally bogus in every way, and likely cost Scott the game. A third commenter argued, also, rampart isn't a compound word or phrase in the same way as the other four clues, kidnap, sawhorse, banana split, fishbowl. In those four cases, if you say the two component words, it sounds exactly the same as the resulting correct response word or phrase. Ken Jennings, a man celebrated for his razor-sharp intellect and quick wit, found himself in an unusually sticky situation on the set of Jeopardy! It was an evening like any other. Three contestants stood poised behind their podiums, eager to test their knowledge in the famed trivia arena. The atmosphere was tense, as it always was, with each contestant hopeful that tonight might be their night to achieve everlasting glory. But as the game progressed, something felt off. What started as a routine episode quickly spiraled into what would become one of the most controversial moments in Jeopardy! History. As the show entered its second round, Ken seemed a bit out of sorts. Perhaps it was the pacing of the questions, or maybe something else entirely, but his usual rhythm was off. The contestants buzzed in, answered, and selected new categories, but the cadence of the game felt different, rushed, almost frantic. Ken's timing was typically impeccable, but tonight, it was as if he was racing against an invisible clock. When the time came for Final Jeopardy, the contestants stood in a precarious balance. All three were within striking distance of winning, a rare occurrence that promised an electrifying conclusion. Ken, however, appeared increasingly distracted, his eyes darting nervously between the clue card in his hand and the clock overhead. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Final Jeopardy," Ken announced, his voice unusually tight. The tension in the studio was palpable. He read out the clue with his customary precision, but something was missing, the subtle, reassuring tone that viewers had come to associate with his hosting style. The contestants began scribbling down their responses, but the countdown felt rushed. Normally, the few seconds of thinking time allowed for suspense to build, but tonight, it felt as though the segment was careening toward an abrupt end. And then, the unthinkable happened. Ken abruptly ended Final Jeopardy. Just as the last second ticked away, without the usual dramatic pause. The look of confusion on the contestants' faces mirrored the sentiment of viewers at home. It was a jarring moment, devoid of the usual pomp and circumstance that accompanies the final reveal. "Time's up. Pens down, everyone," Ken declared, his voice cutting through the studio with an urgency that left everyone, including the contestants, on edge. The camera panned across their faces, each one filled with a mixture of confusion and frustration. There was no lingering suspense, no opportunity for the viewers to savor the climactic moment. Ken moved swiftly, revealing the answers and the wagers with uncharacteristic haste. As the credits rolled, the contestants exchanged puzzled glances, clearly unsure of what had just transpired. The episode concluded on a sour note, leaving both the contestants and the audience with an uneasy feeling. Social media erupted almost immediately after the episode aired, with viewers expressing their dismay at what they perceived as a poorly managed Final Jeopardy round. Did Ken Jennings just rush through Final Jeopardy like he had somewhere else to be? One tweet read, garnering thousands of likes and retweets within minutes. Others chimed in, echoing the sentiment that the entire segment felt rushed and awkward, a far cry from the smooth, polished experience viewers had come to expect from Jeopardy! Critics wasted no time in dissecting the episode, with many pointing out the timing blunder as a glaring mistake that marred what should have been an exhilarating finish. The incident quickly became a talking point in entertainment news circles, with headlines such as, "Ken Jennings' Final Jeopardy! Flub, what really happened?"